Good American Family True Story Inspiration. What happened to the real Natalia Grace? Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass lead the cast of the Hulu drama. Following its U.S. premiere on Hulu, Good American Family has now made it to this side of the pond via Disney+, with all episodes now available to watch on the streamer. The dramatization of Natalia Grace's case stars Grey's Anatomy legend Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass as Christine and Michael Barnett, who adopted the Ukrainian girl and later accused her of lying about her age and identity. Though the Good American Family finale offered some answers to what actually happened, there's more to Natalia Grace's true story and to the events that followed after the trial. Wondering what happened to Natalia Grace and where she is now? Read on for everything you need to know about the true story that inspired the series. The couple adopted Natalia, who had previously been sent back to the agency by another American family, in the spring of 2010, believing her to be approximately 7 years old. However, only 2 years later, they were alleging that she had used her dwarfism to disguise being an older woman, and successfully petitioned a court in Marion County, Indiana, to legally re-age her. Her birth year was changed from 2003 to 1989. This drastic course of action stemmed from trouble at the Barnett family home, with Christine accusing Natalia, via Daily Mail, of threatening to stab her family in their sleep, attempting to poison her coffee, and trying to push her into an electric fence. Natalia denies all accusations of attempting to harm or kill any member of the Barnett family via People. The Barnetts also thought that certain physical characteristics of Natalia indicated that she could be older than what they had initially believed. After the court ruled that Natalia was legally 22, her adoptive parents sent her to live independently in an apartment in the U.S. state, before themselves relocating to Canada. They had paid for 1 year's rent and left canned food in the apartment, where Natalia resided for around 1 year, before she eventually told police that she had been abandoned by her guardians. Michael and Christine were subsequently charged with neglect of a dependent, tried on the basis of Natalia's disability and not her age, with Michael found not guilty and Christine's charges dropped in March 2023. The results from medical laboratory True Diagnostic were revealed to the public the following January as part of Discovery documentary series, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. The findings indicated that in August 2023, Natalia was 22 years old, which suggests that she was only a 9-year-old girl when first adopted by Christine and Michael Barnett, per People. First, she lived with Antoine and Cynthia Mans, who ran a household including several other children, with the arrangement appearing to be a success initially. In 2019, Natalia appeared with the Mans on an episode of U.S. television series Dr. Phil, where they supported her and said that she had posed no threat to their family via BBC News. However, in January 2025, the final season of docuseries, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, prominently featured accusations of controlling and abusive behavior by the Mans towards Natalia. These accusations came exclusively from people claiming to be witnesses, and not from Natalia herself, who has declined to comment on the matter via People. The Mans have denied the accusations, with Cynthia calling them sick, twisted lies and adding, "It's so frustrating that people will just say anything to appease their agenda. It's ridiculous." It was revealed at the start of this year that Natalia had left the family and is now living with the Dipals, who retrieved her from near the Mans family's church, in a plan devised and carried out in secret. Michael has since appeared on Natalia's documentary series, even sitting down for a face-to-face interview in one episode, which came to an early and abrupt end. In the short conversation that did occur, Michael described Christine as a monster, partly in response to Natalia's accusation that she had been physically abusive towards her. It began, Natalia was a very much loved and cared for member of my family. She was not abused by anyone in my family. Let's get straight to these allegations. Nobody ever took a belt to Natalia, and the allegations that she was beaten are just plain false. Any discipline of Natalia was very minimal and was not out of the bounds of normal parenting. If anything, it was overly permissive, as we all felt a tremendous amount of sympathy for Natalia and loved her while she lived with us. It concluded, Michael Barnett and Natalia Barnett may have the same monster, but that monster is not me. That monster, whether it's mental illness, sociopathy, or whatever it actually is, may be different for each of them, but it's within their own psyche. In a quiet Indiana neighborhood, shaded by maple trees and lined with picket fences, the Barnett family once believed they were fulfilling the American dream. Loving parents, children with bright futures, a home filled with books, faith, laughter. And then came Natalia. Adoption, for Christine and Michael Barnett, wasn't just an act of kindness, it was a calling. They had already raised 3 sons, one of whom was a child prodigy with autism. They believed deeply in giving love a home, especially for those whom the world might overlook. When they received a call from an adoption agency in 2010, telling them about a little girl from Ukraine with dwarfism who urgently needed a family, they didn't hesitate. Her name was Natalia Grace. She was small, just 3 feet tall, with wispy blonde hair and wide, intelligent eyes. Doctors told the Barnetts she was 6 years old. But as weeks turned into months, things didn't add up. Christine, a former daycare owner who prided herself on her intuition with children, noticed something strange. Natalia didn't play like other kids her age. She had an extensive vocabulary and an unnerving maturity. She had no interest in toys. She didn't grow. Natalia's behavior, the family claimed, began to change. They alleged that she was hiding knives, standing over them in the night, smearing bodily fluids on walls. Christine claimed Natalia admitted she was much older than she appeared. The Barnetts began to believe she wasn't a child at all, but an adult pretending to be one. The story that followed gripped America in horror and fascination. In 2012, the Barnetts had Natalia's age legally changed from 8 to 22. They rented her an apartment, paid her rent for a year, and moved to Canada with their sons, leaving her behind in Indiana. Natalia was discovered in 2013, alone and abandoned. Authorities launched an investigation. The story became a headline sensation, a real-life thriller full of conflicting facts, courtroom battles, and tabloid hysteria. The media asked, was she a vulnerable child discarded by her adoptive parents? Or was she a dangerous adult masquerading as one? But beneath the headlines and dramatic TV specials lay a deeper, more painful story, one about trust, family, and what it means to belong. Natalia always said she was a child. She cried when reporters asked her about the Barnetts. She insisted she didn't understand why they accused her of being someone she wasn't. I just wanted a mom and dad, she once said softly during an interview. I wanted a family. After years of being shuffled through foster care and courtrooms, a glimmer of light came into Natalia's life. The Mans family, a devout Christian couple from Indiana, with 3 children of their own. They took Natalia in, and despite the storm swirling around her name, decided to give her what she had always wanted: stability, acceptance, love. Antoine and Cynthia Mans didn't see a manipulative adult. They saw a young woman deeply wounded by abandonment, misunderstood and mishandled by nearly every adult she had encountered. They made room for her at their dinner table, enrolled her in school, and welcomed her into their lives without fanfare. It wasn't about fixing her. It was about standing by her. Natalia thrived. She made friends, She started high school. She went to prom in a glittery dress, posing for pictures with a bright smile that seemed to melt years of confusion and hurt. She called Cynthia Mom. She found a church community, got a job, and even talked about going to college one day. And through it all, the truth about Natalia's age remained elusive. Medical experts offered differing opinions. Legal documents contradicted themselves. The courts couldn't conclusively prove whether she had been a little girl betrayed or a troubled adult deceiving everyone. But maybe in the end, that wasn't the most important question. What mattered more was what Natalia became. She became resilient. She became forgiving. She became an example not of a twisted tale for tabloids, but of the quiet strength it takes to survive public judgment, personal trauma, and abandonment, only to still choose hope.